Hello again, everybody. It is Ethan here on Trades Unfiltered, and we have another episode, this time with Sean Reeves, Trades Manager at Apple Air, who has seen, we didn't actually do the math, but we had just thrown around the number 500% in terms of growth in the last 12 months with the plumbing side of the business that he works for. So I am super excited to dive deep on that, as well as all the other challenges that surround it. Welcome, Sean.
Thanks.
So did I get that right? Let's just, so people have an idea of you and what you and your team have been able to do, because I know you'd never take full credit for it by yourself. But what has Apple Air accomplished in the last year, especially as it relates to plumbing?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if it's 500%, but it's definitely up there. We started out early 2025. We had about 2.5 technicians in the plumbing department, roughly doing anywhere between 40 and $60,000 a month in revenue. We just ended 2025. Our biggest month was about 430,000. And that was
Amen.
this past June, and we were roughly averaging about $300,000 to $400,000 a month. So
Okay.
definitely lots of growth.
We should have done the math on that properly. I am actually technically a math guy in terms of the education I have in my background, but I didn't take the time to run the percentages on that. But that's so awesome. I'd love to dive deep on just what you feel like were the most needle moving aspects of that success, whether you guys planned it ahead or whether you were surprised by the results. But before getting into that, I think it's important people actually know about your journey to get to this point as well, because there's a lot of experience that plays into what you were able to achieve. So tell me about how you got into the trades in the first place.
Yeah, so 27 years of experience. Started out, you know, like any other kid, told to go to college, go to college. You're not going to be anything if you don't go. And being that it was the 90s, everyone was big into computers. That was the thing, right? It was, you go into computers or you're not going to have any career when you get older, so my older brother, he went into computers, and I'm like, all right, well, might as well just follow in my older brother's footsteps. And so I did the college thing for a little while. And at the same time, I was working for my father part-time, who's a plumber who had his own business. And in the middle of it, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I can't sit and just stare at a computer screen all day long, and for 8 to 10 hours a day. And it's just for my own
Yeah.
sanity. I can't do it.
What were
I
you
mean,
doing? Was it programming? Was
uh,
it
it was
IT
computer
support?
science.
Whatever that
So
means.
yeah, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I mean, I spent 3 semesters in college, and I don't know if I came out with anything, to be quite
Hmm.
frank. Um,
Yeah,
but
plumbing with the family.
yeah, yeah. So I decided at that point, I'm like, look, I'm wasting my time and I'm wasting my money. I mean,
Mm.
it was tens of thousands of dollars a semester, and can't really kind of keep doing that if this is not what I want to do. So I decided to put that aside, and I went to work for my father full time. And he never really, he didn't want me to do what he does. He always used to say, "I want my kids to do better than me."
Mm.
But
What was that like with your dad? Like, where was his business at the time? So he's in plumbing. Is it just him? Has he got a couple of guys working for him? Where's that
so
business at?
so he's had guys work for him over the years and whatnot. But at that time, it was just him.
Okay.
He worked for he had general contractors that he did jobs for, and he was pretty much a solo act for the most part of his career, and that's how he wanted it to be. I mean, he was or is he still is. He's a great guy, and he knows his plumbing. He knows how to do plumbing. Just as far as like business is concerned, he never wanted any part of it. He just wanted to just make the money.
Sure. He
Um,
just wants to provide. He wants to go in,
that's it.
do a good job, have the work be there. And so so then when you come in, your emphasis would have definitely been on the plumbing technical knowledge side. You're helping out with him out on that aspect of things as opposed to the business growth, team leadership management side. That all comes
Correct.
later.
Yeah, exactly. Just learning the trade. I mean, it's I don't know if any of the people listening have ever worked for family. It's definitely not an easy thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, for the better part of the first 3 years, we got along great because I was learning and he was teaching me everything I could learn. But once I started to get my own way of doing things and my own
Started
kind of
started to have an
where
idea, thought you knew this was a better way to do things, learning from
exactly,
other sources.
not that it was a wrong way to do things, but it wasn't his way. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
it's just he had a certain way he liked to do things, and then I started to have my way where I like to do things, and there
And
was a lot of headbutting.
there's probably mistakes as well, just as you're learning that I think you share that you don't just hear about at work, but then come home, dinner table, still hearing about it all.
Yeah. Yeah, so we used to call my mother the union rep, right? She was the one who always had to get in the middle of it and kind of stop the arguments.
Hmm.
But
Oh, that's great. So
yeah.
how long did that go for? So was a 3 year stint, it sounds like,
So
or was it?
total it was about 4 or 5 years that I
Hmm.
worked for my father. Just long enough
Okay.
where he taught me pretty much the the basics of
Everything there was
plumbing.
to know, just the basics,
Well,
or
I mean,
yeah.
just
So
kind of to get me going, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
trust me,
Okay.
like I said, I've been doing this 27 years, and I could not tell you. I've probably forgotten more than anything, but it's
Yeah.
uh, it's a trade where you're constantly learning, and just when you think you've seen it all, you see something you've never seen
Suddenly.
before.
Hmm. So you do that for 4 or 5 years. What's the thing that what's next in terms of you obviously stopped working for your dad? What was next, and what kind of tipped that over to say, all right, loved it, loved working with your dad, but well, it's not you, it's me.
Yeah.
Let's go our
Well, I,
separate
I I
ways.
don't I don't know if it was me or him. It was just a combination of the two.
Hmm.
It got to the point where it was like, all right, either he was gonna kill me or I was gonna kill him. So I mean, and I didn't want that because I mean, I mean, these days I have a phenomenal relationship with my father. He's like my best friend. So um, just it came to a point where it was just like, okay, well, I need to move on before something happens and it's
Yeah,
irreparable. Um,
sure. Yeah,
so I wanted,
that's really wise, actually, just before getting onto that next stage, because I know in my family there, a lot of uncles and my dad are very involved in business together, and it does change the dynamics when some are telling others what to do, and then some are making more money than others. So it changes the family dynamic a lot. Um, Before moving on, what would you say is the number one thing you learned from that experience with your dad, just for others that might be in that same place?
I mean, like to be honest, I mean, I look back on it and it kind of makes me a little upset and sad about it because I mean, like the relationship I have with my father now is I mean, he's like I said, he's my best friend, and I pretty much talk to him every day. Um, and he's helped me through and guided me, every step of my life. Um, so part of me is like, it's maybe I shouldn't have been such a thick-headed kid, and maybe just
Yeah.
kept my mouth shut and just maybe have stuck with it a little bit longer. And, there's always that what if, you know what I mean? Like, he had
Yeah,
his
what could have
business, and,
happened? Yeah,
what if I stuck
sure.
with him and learned all of what I learned and maybe helped him grow his business to what, I've done here at Apple or what I've done with other companies in the past.
Hmm. Yeah, and we don't know, do we? What would have happened? But I think the one thing that sounds really important to you, that relationship has been preserved and is still really good. And so, you know, that's more important than any of the potential, business growth that could have happened if, if you lost the other one. Say Google or
Yeah,
Alexa.
yeah, exactly.
All good. Um, no, that's cool. I'm glad to hear that though. And so where did you move to next? So time had come.
Yeah, so we were associated with a local company in the area. We were doing work for them because they couldn't do certain things. We did their boiler work and their heating work and whatnot. A company called Universe. So I went to work for them full time, and I learned a lot of heating and HVAC. Spent a good part of my career there. Spent 5 years, another 5 years there. Um, uh, Learned a lot. I mean, I had a lot of people who helped me along the way. People I still talk to this day from that company, whom I value their opinions and their knowledge incredibly.
Yeah. And so and I don't know I don't know, I don't think you're in the field anymore, but having those people around, because you said you always face something new, right? In terms of questions, you think you know it all. And so keeping those people around you that can speak into those things and help you out when you get in a bind, that I could see that being really important. Was that all technical though, when you were at this next company?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
absolutely. So I mean, this is like still like the technical years of my career where it's
Yeah,
like,
but you're expanding from plumbing to HVAC, so you've got a lot more knowledge now as well.
yeah, so I mean, typically it was a lot of boilers, water heaters, that kind of stuff. I dabbled a bit more into air conditioning, more on the install side than service. Um, but I learned a lot, and I worked my way up. I was one of their senior lead installers, um, and then I got married. I found my
Okay.
wife, and um,
Where are you guys located this time as well? I think you said New York, right?
yeah, this
This
is
is
Long Island, New York, in Nassau.
okay, and that's where your dad is, and then you start working for this other company, so it's all similar area.
Correct. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, and then you get married, have some kids. What's next?
Yeah. So we had two kids at this point, and just like, why are we staying around in New York? It's so expensive, and it's hard to live. And hey, listen, it's one of the most expensive areas to live in the country. It's not easy. So my wife had some family down in Florida, so we decided to give it a shot. Let's move down to Florida and see what we can make of it down there.
Was the plan to start a business or to get a job, or
So
what
I
was
mean, I had a
the
job. I found a job before I went down there. Found a job with a private owner guy. He was got one truck, and he promised me the world, and never made good on those promises. But
yeah?
I ended up just kind of on a whim, just looking at an ad one day. I saw an ad for a company in the area, and I'm like, hey, let me just go over there and just stop in and see what happens. It was a Saturday. I remember it very vividly. And, the owner was actually in the office, and he doesn't normally go into the office on Saturdays, so it's kind of surprising.
Good
And he's like, yeah,
timing.
just fill out an application, and here, take this little aptitude test, and let's have a conversation.
And this is the guy that promised you the world, or a different guy?
No, this was a different guy. This
Okay.
was
So you were down there, you're looking for work, and getting promised different things, but ultimately, I think you end up coming back to New York. Is that right?
yeah. So I ended up getting this job with this company in Florida, and that's kind of what started my um my next journey, the next chapter in life. I ended up working for a really amazing company and a really amazing boss to this day, who I kind of credit with putting me on the path that I ended up going to.
Yeah. And this was down in Florida, or
This was
this
down in
is
Florida. Yeah, yeah.
okay. And so, what would you say are those key those key directions that he pushed you in?
So it was just, the I hope he doesn't mind me dropping his name, but the owner of the company, his name was Greg Diatilli. He's just that guy that just, when all his technicians came in the morning, and he would just come and give you a hug. He would just be like, "Hey, how you doing? Hey, Sean, how's the family? How's everything going? Are you doing good?" And I mean, it wasn't like it was a small company. He had a lot of guys, but he knew everybody by name and he knew everybody's story. And there was one point I was going through a rough patch down there, and he pulled me aside and he's just like, "Come on, just clear Sean's board off for the day." You know what I mean? Like, he's coming in and he's going to sit in my office and we're going to have a conversation. And it was not like, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. It was like, "Hey, what's going on? How can I help you?" And he really genuinely, he was a genuine guy, really
So, and it
unbelievable.
sounds like, because I hear two different paths with mentors. mm, Is that some of them can be they teach you actively really well, telling you different things about how to lead and that. But then the other is just leading well and being a role model that is inspiration. He's like, I want to be like that.
Yeah,
If I ever get into that position.
exactly. That's kind of what sparked my interest in it. And he sent me to some classes, to an organization, I don't know if you've heard of, called Nexstar. And that's kind of what kind of set the tone for um, when I came back to New York.
Yeah. And are you in a managerial position at this point in that
No, so
company?
I'm a
No,
technician
still.
still at this point.
Okay.
Um, Still out in the field. He sent me to this class, and and then I started really working the process Nexstar teaches. And I had some really good success down there. I was doing very well. At that point, it was we were my oldest daughter was about 5 years old, and we went to go sign her up for kindergarten. I remember the day. Like, it was like, it was a nice day, and we just like, all right, well, let's go to the school and go sign her up. And we pulled into the school parking lot, and we didn't even get out of the car. We're like, we can't have our 5-year-old daughter going to this school system. I mean, I like
Yeah.
Florida.
Okay.
Just the school systems were just not ideal for what we were looking for. So that was kind of like the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back, right? It was,
Okay.
maybe Florida's not the place for us. Um, so
Mhm.
we
And so
headed back up
that's
north.
when headed back to New York, and you start working with the original company you were with. I'm pretty sure.
Yep, yep.
And
So,
is this the point you don't go straight into it, but you begin working your way up into more managerial positions?
yes, exactly. So when I had come back, my father had just recently sold his company to that company. They purchased it from him, and he was holding the license, and he was building the plumbing department. And so I came back and I'm like, "Hey, let me help, create this thing. Let me help build it." So with the training and whatnot and the success I had in Florida, I brought that back up to New York. You know, the boss, the owner, saw that, hey, this guy's doing all right. Maybe he has something to teach everybody else, and that's kind of like the first step that I took into a leadership role. Like, you know, I would start mentoring the technicians on what I did out in the field.
Very cool. And at what scale was that? So you're still in the field at this point? Because
Yeah.
I'm seeing the journey slowly build. You've got a lot of technical knowledge, and then you're kind of being exposed to these leadership opportunities. Was there ever a desire or craving in you to, get out of the field and just be in leadership, or to start your own business? Like, what's going through Sean's head as you keep, kind of learning and having these new experiences?
Yeah, so I mean, anybody who's a technician, I mean, and who's transitioned to any sort of leadership roles will tell you how frightening that is.
Yeah.
That is, you know, I mean, I've had conversations to probably to death with my wife and brother and my father. I mean, like, it was like, you know, what do I do at this point? You know, I mean, I have this in front of me, but you know, I really enjoy being out in the field. Um, it's I wrestled with it for a while before, um, you know, when the opportunity presented itself, it was like, okay, I guess I'm doing this.
It was a natural next step.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then, so I don't know the whole timeline, but that's the beginning of your leadership managerial journey. And there's probably lots of other little bits and pieces along the way. But I think that sets the stage really well for when you eventually come to Apple Air. And just so people can appreciate, it's like, everyone wants to get to where you're at. But I think you started off by saying it's 27 years of experience that, before kind of getting to this point. So you're still is Apple Air. So where's Apple Air based? That's still New York.
Yep. So Long Island, we are based in
Okay.
Farmingdale, New York.
And you've been there for just since 2025, or was it longer?
So yeah, so I joined Apple in January of 2025. Before that, so Apple is a part of a company called Apex Service Partners.
Yeah.
I was with another company that belongs to Apex out in Jersey the prior year before, helping them and helping the GM out there kind of get a company that was not running so smooth, getting it kind of back on track.
Okay, but always to do with plumbing in general,
So
like helping out in other areas. But
so in Jersey, I was more of like operations in the entire trades. I
okay,
oversaw plumbing, HVAC, and electrical.
all right. And then you come to Apple, and what is the goal? Like when they say, "All right, Sean, we want to give you a job," what or you're told, we want you to come to this company. Is it like, we just want you to? Is it a cleanup job? This isn't running well, or is it like, look, we need to grow this plumbing side? How is that communicated to you?
So it was presented to me as, hey, like, look, you know, Apple is, you know, it's in your backyard. You know what I mean? Like it's here. You know, we don't want you commuting back and forth to Jersey so much, and you know, we have this opportunity here, and Apple, you know, we've had the plumbing department there for years, and it's never taken off. You know, they've had a little bit of success here and there over the course of 5 or 6 years, but it's just never gotten off the ground. And it was like, hey, you know, go there and let's see what you can do
See
with it.
what you can accomplish. So you come to Apple Air, and here's where we get the metaphorical 500% growth. Uh, Hyperbolic, maybe. It's close. Going 550 grand a month to 400 grand. There's a lot of doubling of 50 there.
It was Yeah. So, I mean, to put it more accurately, it was did about $1 million in 2024 in revenue, and we finished. It was about 3.5 ish at the end of
Sure. Yeah, because
2025.
there's how the different months go ups and down. So what was when so you come in then? What's the like? Did you have this big plan, or what's the first thing you look at to give people an idea of? Let's say someone's listening and they've got a plumbing department that's, or even they just have their own plumbing company that's say stuck at that point. What's the first thing that you're looking at when you came in?
So immediately it was the team, right? It was the men who were here and what they were doing, and really the culture that they were a part of. Um, and
Is
I
that
mean, like,
just for plumbing, or you're looking at Apple Air as a whole, just trying to get a feel for how everything works together?
so I mean, Apple had a little bit of a rough time prior to actually 2024 is when things really started to turn around. They had an amazing leadership here, a couple gentlemen who I had the pleasure to work with in 2025. One of them is still here. He's still the HVAC manager here, but the GM that was here that I worked under in 2025 has since moved up, and he's now moved on to a much bigger role. And nobody deserves it better than him. Um, but those two are really kind of responsible for um, starting the culture change. Right. They started the culture change in the HVAC department, which was the lifeblood of this company. Right. It was what it started as. And
Okay. And
so
what would you, if you were to pull out a couple of, like, when you say culture, is that um, kind of uh, the way technicians are presenting, the way they're motivated, all of the above? What are the key aspects of culture are you seeing that either were really well or needed to be fixed?
just the overall vibe of how the company was perceived and how they perceived
Hmm.
the company.
Themselves.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was just in how they meshed together or didn't mesh together. It was um, the plumbing department was
Hmm.
kind of so the HVAC department was kind of in the middle of this shift, and the plumbing department was still kind of on the outside of that. So when I came in, I made sure like, hey, like, look, the company is evolving. So like, let's make sure that we evolve with it.
Everything's about, yeah,
Yeah.
evolving together. Yeah, I can see that people, if the company isn't, if the members of the company are not like proud and of their own participation in enjoying their own involvement, then when they go out and how things are perceived is that's going to impact that quite a bit. Okay, so you come in, see the culture, and what was your first? Was there a first kind of big change you made or decision you made in your role?
So I mean, I had a very young technician who I could
Because
see he had
plumbing's only two people at this point
yeah,
too. So plumbing, it's
correct.
actually quite small.
Yes. So it's like two people and a helper, two technicians and a helper, and an installer who kind of was in and out. But so I mean, there was a young technician who still works for me today. He's my field supervisor now, but like he has a great personality and his very positive attitude. And it was like I felt like it was almost like kind of being a little snuffed out at times because of the lack of
And you see him, you're like, we need more of that.
yeah,
Not snuffing
yeah,
it out.
exactly. So I kind of brought him up, and like I said, I eventually made him my supervisor. But I wanted to build a department, and I wanted to make sure that we had people like that. Um, so as I grew it, I brought in people that could really kind of feed off of that personalities and just and kind of grow with that. And I honestly I think that that's right there is the secret sauce, right? Is just to make sure that your team is a team. Um, Everyone gets along and wants to help each other.
Yeah, yeah. No, that because you know you can have all the leads in the world, but if you don't have the the team to fulfill on that, and then the team that gets those leads, wanting those customers to keep coming back to Apple Air, then you do end up spinning your wheels a lot, and that's where competitors come in. And so, was there a because growing that quickly over 12 months, like how did the marketing side, because that's that I have a that's my big focus, the digital marketing side that I love to think about. How did growing the team, bringing more people on, because obviously you got a bigger business, and so you've got a bit more flexibility, and we can take some budget from here and bring on another tech, and then bring in more plumbing leads. But were you as involved in that aspect of the process, or was like what made it take off, where you actually had the customers for the
So so I have some people above me who probably didn't think that it was a great idea to hire as quick as I did. And then I had some other people who were like, hey, if you build it, they will come, I mean, um, so, I really, I built the team before I really even had the calls. Um,
hmm
and just through the incredible work that this team put out, it really created a buzz. Um, the electrical, I'm sorry, the HVAC department, they started talking about us when they were out in the field on their jobs, and we
mm,
got a lot of referrals from our own customers,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then they started talking to their neighbors, and you know what I mean. There's nothing more powerful. There's no more powerful marketing than word of mouth, right? I mean,
hmm because
that's
you
that's
got that
probably
reputation, people genuinely like you, and they like talking about things they like.
yeah, and it can go the other way too. It can go the other way real fast, and I think that's
Yeah, right.
been yeah. You get that one bad job, and then magically all the calls disappear. So I mean, I
hmm
think that was our major focus, was to make sure that we provided that quality service, and we did the right thing by customers. I mean,
hmm
it's
That's actually a really amazing thought, because they had said, the leaders at Apple Air seem to have said, there's all this, what did they say? The plumbing is never taken off. You just haven't yet been able, but it's almost as if they were just sitting on it the whole time. Because when you've got HVAC running, you've got electrical, you have access to a lot of the exact same people that need plumbing. And so why is there a disconnect there? Why, you're actually sitting on it. And so rather than making all these big investments in digital marketing and all these other things, it's like, actually, let's make the most of what we've got. And obviously incredible growth has has been evident as part of those results.
yeah. I mean, I think honestly, I think a lot of companies have similar blind spots.
hmm
Um, I mean, they could have a large customer base that they're just not tapping into. You know what I mean? It's
hmm
um, and I mean that in the way of like, okay, well, our customers, listen, I mean, our loyal customers, they don't want to call other people. They love Apple
They
Air.
want to be, yeah, yeah.
So I mean, it was just a matter of like getting the word out. I mean, like, hey, guess what? We have a plumbing department. Oh my God, you guys have a plumbing department? Like, please get somebody out here. I have so many issues I need taken care of. Um,
hmm
and it's just I think a lot, and listen, I mean, HVAC is especially during our summer months incredibly busy. I mean, like, my hats off to anybody in HVAC, because it's hard work, especially in those summer months where it's 130 degrees plus in those attics, and those guys are just crawling around in insulation. It's
hmm
not easy.
Yeah.
in the same aspect of it, it helps them out too.
Right. Because now plumbing, if you're bringing in people plumbing wise, you actually can get referrals the other way too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it makes customers happy. It's like, hey, I had this technician out and he did such a wonderful job on my HVAC system. And then he recommended the plumbing to come out too. So, that's the
Hmm.
technician I want to come back to my house.
Yeah. And there's this flow on effect where you've built that culture internally, and then when when they see, oh, the HVAC team's talking about me, or the plumbing team's actually talking about us, and now there's this actual tangible result of that culture. It's not just this, in a general sense, everyone being friendly, but we're seeing the impact. That actually feeds the culture more. You
Yeah.
actually, you you're more looking forward to going to work. You actually are looking for opportunities to talk about the HVAC guys because they just spoke about me in that way. And so it's really, in terms of team dynamics, because I have a bit of a narrow focus on the marketing side, and that's why I love hearing stories like this, because there's so much more that goes into building a real business that's serving real people and building people too, in terms of your actual team. You're investing in them as individuals as well. So beginning of 2026, we're recording this February. Any plans for this year? How are we pulling back from growth and trying to really make that efficient, improving that bottom line, or are you still wanting to grow that top line, grow the team? What's the goal?
Yes and yes.
All of the above. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. With incredible growth that comes that quick, we had some bumps and bruises along the way.
Hmm.
There's things
Took
that
some pork.
yeah, exactly. Um, there's things that I got to focus on to make us, better as a department. But ultimately, I mean, I don't want to stop growing. I've already hired 2 new technicians this year, and I want to. Right now, I'm at 10 total, and I want to be at 20 by the end of the year.
Wow. Okay. So that massive team growth, what, because I do know that that is one of the biggest things people struggle with, like finding the right guys and finding people that are actually going to stay motivated and bring that positive culture and do a good job. How have you, what's the secret to being able to hire so well and so many?
Um, you know, uh, it's
No
so in
secret.
it's so incredibly difficult, especially nowadays. I mean, like,
Yeah.
any tradesperson will tell you that, like, we got a major tradesperson shortage
Hmm.
in the country. If not, yeah, I mean, I would dare to say probably the world. Um, it's
Because they all went into computers 30 years ago, right?
exactly, exactly. I mean, look, I understand the narrative of college, and you got to go to college, you got to get a great job, right? You got to get a degree, you got to get a great job. Um, at the same time, you don't have to. There are other options. The trades are an amazing option for young people. Plumbing itself has been incredible to me and my family. And I honestly can't imagine another career that I would have wanted to do. So I mean, like, any young people out there who are listening to this, don't be afraid if you want to jump into a trade, if you want to work with your hands. Some of the happiest people in the world going home smelling to high hell. So
Of plumbing or attic or whatever it is. Yeah. No, and I think that there would play, that attitude would play a massive role in that hiring process, because, you're not, you're not cast, you're casting that as the vision. I imagine when you're hiring people, it's like, this is something that you're spending, when you're working 40, 50 hours a week, that's like a massive percentage of your life.
Absolutely.
And we all love it here. So are you going to love it? And I imagine there's trial periods you have with people and training and all. Um, but yeah, having that culture set is probably a very, because when you don't have the culture set, then the people that are coming in are gonna set it if they're the wrong people.
100%. I mean, I would much rather hire for culture than experience.
Hmm. Have you
Um,
ever had to? Yeah, have you ever had to? Imagine you have any stories on people you saw that were impacting the culture negatively, or like they just weren't a good fit, and therefore, telling people to move on.
yeah, I mean, it happens a lot. I mean, early in my career, when I was just starting out, I think it was my first experience was with that. I used to do a lot of training. I was very heavily into training my technicians, and that's ultimately the first role in management that I had was training manager. And I would be in my trainings, and I would spend hours and hours and hours building this impactful trainings with visuals and games and all this stuff. Um, we had one technician that just would just put a black cloud on the whole thing. And
Hmm.
I remember I remember the day he left the company. Whether it was voluntary or involuntary, I won't divulge that. But the next day, I remember putting on a training, and just the cloud had just been lifted,
Mm.
and everyone was just allowed to be. And the participation was there, the curiosity was there, the wanting to learn, and it was like, and I remember saying to one of the upper managers, I'm like, "I can't believe how much one person affected the room." It's just
Hmm.
it's the saying that, like, one rotten apple does spoil the bunch. It's absolutely accurate. It really can completely crush your culture.
Yeah, yeah. So getting ahead on that, and for anyone watching that has a team or building a team, um, got to prioritize the culture. And I think it does, and it starts as well, especially if you're someone, it does start with you, because if you if you're the one bringing that cloud, then it's you're setting the direction. So it takes some looking in the mirror, and decide, look, am I going to love this so that others will love it, or do I need to find something else? But that's really, I love that story, Sean, and love to, maybe in the future we can do a number two, see how much further Apple has come. But what would you say, just for people listening? Talked a lot about culture and just your journey in being able to set that, and working together with other parts of businesses. Take a minute. What's the you know just number one thing that you'd really have people remember when it comes to the trades that you think's easy to forget?
So, I mean, tradespeople, we're hardworking people, and it's a really, um, it's a really great it can be really great if you let it be. You know what I mean? Like, you can thrive as much or as little as you possibly want. Um, and it's on you, you know what I mean? Like, how much you wanna learn, how much you wanna go, it's all on you. You can be a technician, like, and you could try to climb the ladder like many others before. Like, you could own your own business and be one of the captains of industry if you want. Mm, some people have taken their companies to hundreds of millions of dollars, and you know they've thrived in this business, and others have just been happy as a technician.
Mhm.
It's a wonderful thing to get involved in. And even if, it's not something that you want to do, I mean, just remember that, tradespeople are people too, and everyone should treat each other with respect and dignity. And
Hmm. And
yeah,
we'll get rid of a lot of the black clouds just like that.
yeah. I
Simple.
mean, like, always be a student. Anybody coming into the trades? Um, I suggest that you always be a student. That's what I recommend.
Mm, yeah.
Don't ever be a
And
full
that,
cup.
right. That humility I can see, especially if you take responsibility to have that humility, not just on technical knowledge, but on relational things, on team effort things, on managing things. Because then hopefully if it turns out you're the one bringing the black cloud, um, if you've got that humility, it doesn't need to stay. Because it's only when you don't, when you've got that kind of chip on your shoulder, and you're going to take that black cloud wherever you go. And sure, you might work at a place a few years here and a few years there, but to actually be part of a team long term you love, and you love coming home from, and you love going to in the morning, that's always going to be out of reach. So love the humility lesson, Sean. Love and thank you for your time as well, and sharing all those tidbits. I And thank you everyone for listening. So that is another episode of Trades Unfiltered, and I look forward to seeing everybody next time. Thank you, Sean.
Thanks, Ethan. I appreciate you.